Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to my review of the Monta Ocean King, a watch, and more specifically a watch brand that I have been really looking forward to getting on the channel. I first started talking to Justin, one of the brand owners of Monta, back in 2018 about getting one of these pieces in for review. Didn't quite happen at the time, so better late than never, or he is hoping better late than never, I finally get my hands on an Ocean King. So why the interest? Well, I think Monta are interesting for a number of different reasons. I review a lot of micro brands on the channel, and I've talked about before what I perceive as a bit of a micro brand glass ceiling sitting at $500 US. Most brands, certainly earlier on, try not to exceed that price point, relying on volume and turnover, I guess, to get a bit of traction in the market. Not so Monta. Bang, straight in, $1,500 US with their first watch in 2017, and they've stuck in that price bracket of between $1,500 and $2,000 US. Indeed, the Ocean King that I've got to review today comes in at just under $2,000. Now, that is a fair chunk of money for a watch, I appreciate. It's also a fair chunk of money for a watch from a company that's only been in operation for the last 3 years. So I've been really interested to see what it is they actually offer. So I guess 4 questions then today. What do you get for your money? Is it worth the money? Should you buy one? And would I buy one? Let's flip the camera and answer some questions. Alright, a couple of things before we crack on with the review today. The first is that this watch is on loan to me. By the time you see this video, it will most likely be on its way back to Monta. Second thing is they seem to be having a promotional push at the moment. I've seen the brand pop up on various YouTube channels. So as always, if you are interested in this Ocean King or any of their other range of watches, watch as many of these videos as possible, read as many reviews as you can, educate yourself before you make a purchase. Third thing is, I think I picked the wrong one. Justin from Monta gave me the pick of the range, and I asked for the Ocean King. He asked me which colour I wanted, and I said, why not try the blue one? And I don't think I got the best of the bunch, as I will explain later on. So let's start with the basics, dimensions and specifications, then I'll get to the moans and niggles, because there are always moans, there are always niggles. Then we'll get onto some of the more subjective stuff towards the back end of the video. But I would love to hear from you. Are you a Monta owner, a satisfied or dissatisfied Monta owner? Or are you planning on picking up one of these for yourself in the coming weeks and months? Or are Monta not quite there as a brand for you? I reckon there's going to be a fair range of perspectives in the comments, so I'm looking forward to reading and responding to those. 14.5mm in diameter, so it's just a little bit larger than the standard ubiquitous 40mm Submariner style case diameter. Less than 12mm thick though, which is pretty slim, all things considered, for a 300-meter diver. Just under 49 lug tip to lug tip, 20mm lug width, tapering down to just over 16, back up to pretty much 19 at the clasp. Sized up for me, I've got an average size 7-inch wrist. This one weighs in at 151 grams. So right on the nose of that 150 gram sports watch sweet spot that I quite often refer to. All stainless steel construction, so stainless steel case crown, full stainless steel bracelet and stainless steel bezel, and the bracelet obviously has solid links. We have solid end links, screw links here as well, nice size to those, and a proper engineered clasp with no micro adjust. We have got a glide lock style system, which I will show you later on as well. We've got a piece of dead flat sapphire crystal with 7 layers of anti-reflective undercoating covering the dial. Apparently you can see just a little raised lip there, so just a little beveled edge. Sitting it proud of the ceramic bezel insert. So fully lume ceramic bezel insert. I'll pop up the lume video before too long, I promise you. 60 click unidirectional dive time rotating bezel. Bezel action is very nice indeed. Monta have got a couple of patents in this watch, and I believe the bezel is one of those. I'm guessing it's 60 click because it's shared with the SkyQuest, which is the GMT version of the same watch essentially. Monta have a 4 watch range, the Triumph and the Atlas, which are the 2 smaller 38mm watches, and the Ocean King and the SkyQuest, which are a GMT and 3-hander of the same larger 40.5mm diameter case. Quite a prudent way to expand your range is to do a GMT version of the 2 different case sizes that you have available to you. Case finishing is very nice, high polish on the side, brushed on the lugs, all brushed on the bracelet, but with some high polished beveled edges transitioning between the different finishes. Very nicely machined bezel there as well. The more you look at this watch, the more nice details you come across. I've had the pleasure of spending a bit of extended time. I've had this in Sydney with me for about 5 or 6 weeks now, and the more I wear this watch, the more you begin to appreciate some of those details. The mid case, for example, slopes back up, so no chance of a sharp edge here. I often moan about watches with sharp edges. No sharp edges anywhere on this watch. It's a really very comfortable watch for everyday wear. And the bracelet is another big factor in why this watch wears so comfortably. A very well thought out bracelet. Brush finish on top. We've got a slight polish to the beveled edge there on the edges of those outer links. Quite large mid links. Now it is double articulated, so oyster style. We've got one articulation at the bottom of the mid link, if you will, and one halfway up. That can lead to some odd angles when the watch is off your wrist, but you don't notice that when it's on your wrist. It fits very comfortably, and you know I enjoy a good clasp. This is certainly a good clasp. I believe there is another patent on this clasp as well. Brushed with beveled edges, high polish to the fold over with the Monta logo there. Get your fingernail under, and again more high polish, another Monta logo. And the real bonus here is it's a glide lock style adjustment system. You've got about a centimetre, just over a centimetre, maybe 12mm or adjustment either way. Such a boon to have a watch with on-the-fly adjustment. I've only reviewed 3 others, I think, those being the Jeanneau Ocean Rover, the Christopher Ward Trident Pro, and the watch that the Jeanneau Ocean Rover rips off, that being the Rolex Submariner. Really a big factor in all-day comfort, these glide lock style systems. Zoomed in on the dial, and there is a serious amount of blue here, isn't there? Just a really nice deep sunburst effect. I had this one at the beach a couple of weeks ago, and my goodness did it pop in the sunshine. So Monta logo and name just printed beneath the large index at 12. Ocean King 1000 feet, 304 meters. Obviously this is an American watch, so they've gone imperial with the depth rating there, but Swiss made. In spite of the American ownership, they still manufacture these ones in Switzerland, or get them manufactured for them in Switzerland. Date window down there at 6 o'clock with a beveled edge and a considerable silver frame matching those silver indices all the way around. So super large index at 12, larger than normal at the 3 and the 9, and regulars everywhere else. There's a printed minute track on the dial as well, and an unprinted Rehaut chapter ring. Those indexes just nicely recessed into them. All clean, all attractive, as is the handset. Rhodium plated sword hands, plenty of real estate there for Lume. I will pop up the Lume video. BGW9 Swiss made Super Luminova throughout, and plenty of it on the hands, the indices, and on the bezel. Now my camera runs for a maximum of 20 minutes. I always say this is about 5 or 6 hours equivalent with the human eye, and here we are getting towards the end of the 20 minutes and the Monta is still going strong, so no complaints about the Lume. So overall I think the dial and hands very nicely proportioned, if a little bit understated. Unscrewing a link to show you the very attractive looking stainless steel screw down caseback, screw down crown, screw down caseback, 300 meters of water resistance. All very nicely finished here, all very smooth to the touch, no rough or sharp edges anywhere. If companies are cutting corners, you can generally tell by the level of finishing starts to diminish when you get towards the back of the watch, but not in this case, as one would hope, at nearly $2,000 US. So Monta Ocean King, Swiss made, the Euro spec sheet, stainless steel, 300 meters water resistance. Now the movement contained in this Ocean King they call a Monta M21. They don't make their own movements. It's a Sellita SW300. That is the Sellita clone of the ETA 2892. So it's a step up from the Sellita SW200 and the ETA 2824. It's a 25 joule hacking and hand winding auto running at 4 Hz, so 28,800 vibrations per hour. I have heard that Monta regulate all of these movements to within plus or minus 5 seconds per day. Let's verify that. And indeed it looks like they do just that. Plus 5 seconds a day, healthy amplitude, 0 beat error. You can't argue with figures like that from a prospective daily wearer. And when you get it on wrist, it continues to make a fairly strong case for itself as an everyday wear. It sits beautifully. Less than 12mm thick, as I showed you earlier on. Zero protrusion from the case back means it sits dead flat. I've got a 7-inch wrist for your reference. Also, you've got that inverted female mid-link of the end link, so even if your wrist is slightly smaller than mine, the bracelet's going to conform to your wrist straight away, helping it retain all the comfort you need over a day. It is quite a big clasp and it does protrude a little bit longer than the external dimensions suggest there, but it's not a problem on me, and you do get the glide lock so you can adjust it over the course of a day. And my goodness, is this watch blue, or is this watch blue? Seriously vibrant colour from the sunburst dial and from that ceramic bezel insert as well. Still pretty legible though, good size sword handset and very clear indexes at the 12, the 3 and the 9. And outside in some natural light you can see that blue popping even more. I shot it against a different background today to really make that blue stand out. Now I try and get into blue dive watches every 6 months or so. I'll try another one, but I think I'm a black dial dive watch guy myself, in spite of the obvious appeals of a bit of colour on your wrist. And that's it on wrist from the side there. Very, very comfortable, as I said. Not a super short lug to lug, but the mid-link of the end link really helps it fit very nicely. Okay, moans and niggles. What am I going to complain about? Well, did you spot it? There is a little bit of fluff. There's something underneath the dial, underneath the crystal, just next to the index at 12, slightly to the left of the 12-hour marker. Now, I have no doubt that if I had paid $1,970 US, which is the list price of this Monta Ocean King, and I received a watch with a bit of fluff under the dial, they would have no hesitations in rectifying the problem. Nonetheless, it's a bit disappointing to be sent a watch for review and to have something underneath the dial. It doesn't happen all that often, and I was a bit surprised to get it from a company that's staking their reputation on the quality of their product. And the colour, the blue, you've probably already guessed, not really my favourite. My fault, I should have got the black one, or ideally the black and gilt one. Maybe my overall tone would have been slightly different. Not a fan of that chapter ring, the Rehaut. If you have a look at it there, it's got a slight metallic tinge to it. I think it would have looked better in stainless steel or a slightly plainer colour of blue. I think overall the blue is just a bit too much. But hey, if you like blue divers, maybe this will be your cup of tea, but I don't think the blue is quite mine. That's not really a reflection on the watch though, that's more a reflection on my own personal taste. Now, the guarded crown, this is a kind of double-edged sword here. It's only a small crown, it's not all that easy to operate, it's not all that easy to grip, but given how accurate the movement is, you're not going to be adjusting it all that often. The flip side of that is when the watch is on your wrist, you don't have a jaggy, sharp, scratchy crown digging into the back of your hand. So that's a compromise I'm prepared to accept for the overall comfort and wearability which this watch has in spades. And believe it or not, I'm going to complain about the glide lock. Now, I complained about a similar thing with the Christopher Ward Trident Pro that I reviewed in the middle of last year. I didn't get the full retail pack from Monta here, I just got the watch and the travel pouch that I showed you earlier on. I'm not sure if this watch has half links therefore, but to take full advantage of one of these glide locks, ideally you want to leave the house in the morning with it halfway, meaning you've got a little bit of adjustment if you get warmer and your wrist expands, and you've got a little bit of adjustment if you get cooler and your wrist contracts. To hit that sweet spot in the middle, therefore, you really need half links on the bracelet. I didn't get it supplied with it. I'm not sure if they have it. If it does, great. If it doesn't come with half links, that's a bit of a miss. And my final moan and niggle is I don't think I got the best value watch from the range either. I'm a bit surprised that the three-handed Ocean King is exactly the same price as the GMT SkyQuest. You'd really have to hate the GMT hand not to opt for the GMT over the three-hander, given that they were the same price. So getting back to those 4 questions that I asked in the introduction then, what do you get for your money? Well, I think you get a very well thought out, super comfortable watch with a lot of very nice details and admittedly a couple of fairly small moans and niggles with this one. Is it worth the money? Well, I think objectively it is worth the money. Sellita 300 is perfectly commensurate with the price tag. Everything's nicely done. You get a glide lock mechanism which you don't find on a lot of watches. All the other specs, the look, the build quality, there's no rattly links here. Everything feels very solid, very well put together. So I think you do get a reasonable package for $2,000, or at least I would say that without hesitation if it had Oris, Zin, Longines or Tissot or something on the dial. but it doesn't. It's got Monta on the dial, and that involved a leap of faith on behalf of the customer. I think to drop 2 G's on a micro brand is a fairly big ask in this day and age, even one with the quality on offer that Monta has. So should you buy one then? Well, I guess it depends what you're looking for. If you've had a good look at the brand, if you're really drawn to the Monta story, you want a high quality, top-notch micro brand, let's be honest, I haven't reviewed too many micros with the level of quality and attention to detail as this one, and you're after a watch that's comfortable, that's going to be a faithful, reliable friend, an everyday wear watch, long term, then I think yes, you can buy them with confidence. Would I buy one? Well, perhaps not this one. I don't really see the value in the Ocean King when the SkyQuest has got that extra GMT functionality for exactly the same price tag. So if I were to get one, then that's where I would be going. But I would be having a good look at the Sinn 104, I'd be having a good look at the Oris Aquis, I'd be having a good look at the Oris 65 Diver first to see if those suit me better. When you put the Ocean King side by side with an Oris 65, there is a vast gulf in the quality of the two watches. The Ocean King is leaps and bounds ahead of the Oris, but it is equally far behind when it comes to brand name and cachet, and that's the problem that Monta has at the moment. So perhaps I wouldn't necessarily be buying a Monta in 2020. Maybe it's a brand that I'll come back to in a couple of years' time, once they've got a broader range, once they're more established in the market, once Monta ownership means a little bit more than it does now. So there you have it, the Monta Ocean King. I think a very nicely executed, very well thought out, really kind of comfortable, all day, every day, one watch collection type watch. If you like it, I think you can buy it with confidence. If it's something that you're going to enjoy, wear every day and keep for a long time, then go for it. Would I buy one? I'm not quite sure I'm there with Monta yet. I'm not quite sure I'm down with spending 2,000 US, 3 grand Aussie on a watch from a company that's only been in existence for a couple of years. I guess that's one of the problems that these micro brands have when they're first starting up. It's building that reputation, getting some momentum in the market. But a lovely watch. Perhaps the SkyQuest is the one that I should have got in for review. Perhaps I'll get it in for review later on this year. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.